Hello everyone, welcome to the next episode of SpongeBob Now. Today, I will be talking about Atlantis SquarePantis. First, I'm going to talk about Patchy's plot. Enjoy. Patchy is driving a wheelless, boat-like car on the US 101 in Encino, California, but is stuck in a rush-hour traffic jam. Patchy, upset by this, puts his rare, Frampton Comes Alive 8-track tape in the boat car's 8-track player, but the tape pops out and is destroyed. Potty calls Patchy on his cell phone to remind him about a new SpongeBob episode, which is about to start, and asks where he is. Patchy asks Potty to record the cartoon for him, but Potty can't because Potty threw out Patchy's Betamax machine, infuriating Patchy. Patchy yells at a motorist behind him for honking his horn because he cannot hear Potty on the phone. Potty hangs up on him and the traffic in front of Patchy starts moving again, so he pulls up his anchor, puts it in his boat car, and drives off. He arrives in a desert-like area, thinking he is home. However, he soon realizes that Encino has somehow disappeared and screams, cries, and suffers. He then introduces the episode by telling the audience that Encino being a lost city reminds him of a story about another lost city, Atlantis. After Plankton finds an arsenal of weapons, the scene cuts back to Patchy, who states that even though Encino is still lost, he at least fixed his 8-track player. Seconds later, it breaks and catches fire. Patchy states, "Well, enjoy the rest of the show." Patchy has now questionably landed in a desert and is struggling with an empty water canteen. Patchy claims he will die of starvation and thirst and that vultures will pick his bones. Potty drops in out of nowhere, and he tries to eat Potty, who flies away in fear. Patchy realizes what is happening, and says, "Uh-oh, here come the hallucinations." SpongeBob's laughter can be heard as his pineapple house fades in with a man with SpongeBob's voice and dressed in a tall SpongeBob outfit. He tells Patchy that everything will be alright when he returns to Encino. He states that Encino is gone, to which SpongeBob disagrees, if Patchy believes, leading into Patchy believing he's back in Encino. He hugs a blue sign reading, "Welcome to Encino." He starts to happily cry knowing the SpongeBob was right. During a happy, fast-paced musical montage, Patchy runs around, jumps, walks with an parasol, throws away a crumpled-up piece of paper, has a picnic by himself, throws a beach ball, gets a watermelon pelted at him hard, raises a Jolly Roger flag and drives an old man reading a magazine, a mother and her baby crazy by playing a guitar. Patchy eats a strawberry ice cream cone which falls onto the grass. He starts to have goosebumps, to which Potty wakes him up after Patchy mistakenly thinks Encino is back, which was all just a hallucination, as mentioned. Patchy begins to eat a sandwich, which Potty brings to him, but he finds mayonnaise on it, which he doesn't like. He tries to feed it to a vulture and explains to it how much he despises mayo in hot weather. At the end of the SpongeBob sequence, we come back to Patchy, who returns to the original middle-of-nowhere location he was originally in, which may have implied he was hallucinating the dehydrated desert situation. He asks the kids if the story they watched was good. Patchy then steps on something, and it is revealed he found Encino, but shrunk to a very small size. Then, 3 aliens appear and apologize to Patchy by explaining that their son, Norblock 5, was playing with a shrinkatron again. Patchy begs to the aliens that he wants his Encino back in full size and keeps saying, "There's no place like home." Sympathetic over Patchy's loss, Norblock 5's mother gets the shrinkatron given from her son, and she presses a big red button control, making a tornado disaster to fix it up. The scene then cuts to Patchy in his real home, sitting in a chair. Patchy is glad to be back home with everything back to its original size, watching the new SpongeBob cartoon he thought he was going to miss. He states that it looks like everything is back to the right size and asks if Potty agrees. Seconds later, a giant Potty's foot crashes through Patchy's house and crushes him, implying Norblock 5 had possibly once again used his shrinkatron to make Potty huge. Patchy, crushed by the foot, reminds the audience to come back real soon for more new segments featuring him as well as more new SpongeBob episodes. He then attempts to get Potty off of him while SpongeBob laughs in the background, but the episode finishes there. Next, I'm going to talk about SpongeBob's plot. Enjoy. In the beginning of the episode, SpongeBob and Patrick are in jellyfish fields blowing bubbles. Patrick tries to take pictures of the bubbles, but they keep popping immediately before the picture is taken. SpongeBob sings a song. SpongeBob sings about how he wants to blow a bubble that would last all day. SpongeBob blows a bubble so big that it engulfs them both and carries them into a nearby cave. The bubble suddenly pops as it makes an impact with an ancient piece of gold. Eager to discover what exactly it is, they decide to take it to the Bikini Bottom Museum, where they run into Squidward, who is painting pictures that relate to Atlantis. At first, Squidward thinks that SpongeBob and Patrick were planning to steal the first half of the amulet, which is housed in the museum, but upon attempting to return it to its spot, he realizes that what Patrick and SpongeBob had was, in fact, the missing half. At this point, Mr. Krabs, who secretly, but unofficially, takes admission as a museum employee to make more money, and Sandy, who is touring the museum while looking for an exhibit for land stuff, join them. The pieces of gold are then reunited, which summons a luxurious bus, or van, as Squidward calls it, piloted by a robot, and it's fueled by song. During the song to fuel the bus, it is revealed that Plankton, who was sneaking into the museum for a heist for an exhibit perfect for destroying the Krusty Krab but was distracted, overhearing the Five's conversation about Atlantis, has stowed away in a compartment at the front of the bus, and plans to control the lost weapons of Atlantis and use them to steal the formula, much to the surprise of the viewers. Once they arrive there, accidentally crash landing in a topiary garden, they meet the King of Atlantis, Lord Royal Highness, LRH for short, who shows them the riches, knowledge, and art of Atlantis. Meanwhile, Plankton escapes from the compartment and sneaks into the vault storing the weapons. After looking around at the weapons, he chooses to commandeer a tank, seemingly at random, to start his diabolical scheme. Meanwhile, Mr. Krabs enjoys the money vault, Sandy enjoys the science lab, and Squidward enjoys the Hall of Art, the rooms each had been planning to see. In the money vault, money, gold, and prized objects are found and mostly stashed in Mr. Krabs' pants pockets. In the science lab, Sandy enjoys the devices, a biomass-converting device that turns any household object into ice cream, a bug the Atlanteans have not worked out, a germ-fighting, interactive, micro-video game, and makes an automatic feeding device. In addition, in the Hall of Arts, Squidward journeys through paintings, is modeled by painters, and even makes his own painting, claiming to have learned more about art in his short time in Atlantis than he did in 4 years of college. However, everything goes wrong when SpongeBob and Patrick are left alone with the world's oldest living bubble. The flash from Patrick's camera when he takes a picture of themselves with the bubble causes it to burst. They are terrified, and the pair goes to dinner and insist on leaving. When Patrick reveals their mistake, LRH first doesn't believe it, and considers it dark humor. SpongeBob confirms it isn't a joke, to which LRH tells them that the bubble they popped was a prop for tourists like them, but when he shows them the real bubble, Patrick takes a picture of it once again with a flash, and it also pops. LRH gets furious, drops the glass container, which shatters, and summons the Atlantean royal guards to seize the gang. Sandy uses Patrick like a boomerang, SpongeBob as a shield, Mr. Krabs as a claw, and Squidward as a shotgun. They escape almost, to which Plankton appears with a giant tank. Plankton lets out a huge speech about his victory with the collecting of the Atlantean arsenal, then he fires the tank at SpongeBob, the gang, and the Atlantean royal guards, but is foiled when it is revealed that the weapon he had chosen only shoots strawberry ice cream. He jumps out of the tank and in frustration, yelling, "Oversized ice cream maker." He childishly kicks it, injuring himself. However, LRH seems delighted, saying, "This talking speck will make a fantastic replacement for our recently deflated national treasure." He grabs Plankton and puts him in a jar like the one for his bubble. Tourists start taking photos, to which Plankton yells, "Hey, can't you read? No flash photography." They refuse. Finally, LRH loads SpongeBob and his friends back onto the bus and removes the amulet, giving it to one of his soldiers to dispose of to ensure no more visitors like these. The guard then proceeds to throw the amulet into a nearby dumpster. SpongeBob is the only one eager to return to Bikini Bottom and sings. His friends, including Squidward, Mr. Krabs, Sandy, and even Patrick, get sad throughout the song. Squidward, Sandy, Mr. Krabs, and Patrick start crying near the end of the song, but SpongeBob ignores the sadness and sings all along. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more videos. Goodbye everyone.